Genesis chapter 39. Joseph, a slave in Egypt. If you remember from chapter 37, Joseph's brothers hated him, and so they threw him in a pit and then sold him as a slave, and he went to Egypt. You would think that as a slave, things would be very horrible for Joseph. Verses 2 through 6. The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man, and he was in the house of his master the Egyptian. His master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all he did to prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his sight, and served him. Then he made him overseer of his house. All that he had he put under his authority. So it was, from the time that he made him overseer of his house and all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in the house and in the field. Thus he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he did not know what he had except for the bread which he ate. Joseph is a slave. You would think that he'd be living this horrible life, barely living basically, but he's actually living and he's thriving. He's gone up the ranks and become kind of like his master's right-hand man. And it's because God has got him. God has a plan for him. God's plan for him is not to be a slave. The rest of verse 6 and then verses 7 through 10. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph. She said, "Lie with me." But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has to my hand. There is no one greater in this house than I, nor has he kept back anything from me but you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" So it was, as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not heed her, to lie with her, or to be with her. So now master's wife recognizes, wow, this guy Jacob, not only is he a good-looking man, he's also a very successful man, and I want to sleep with him. I'm going to go seduce him. I'm going to go make him sleep with me. But Joseph says, no, I'm good. I know that's a sin. I know the devil is trying to tempt me. I'm not going to give in. I've worked so hard to get where I am now. I'm not going to give up all my progress for a weak sin. And so in order to not sin, he heeds from her. He's avoiding her. He knows that it's a nice temptation, but he's not going to give in to that. And so he's doing all he can to keep himself away from making the sin. Verses 11 and 12. It happened about this time, when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was inside, that she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand, and fled and ran outside. So she tries one more time. She says, "I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to get you." She waits until it's just the two of them. She grabs him by his clothes. And he says, "I know what you're doing." So he slips out of the clothes, but she still has it. And he's running away because he's still trying not to make that sin. Verses 13 through 15. And so it was, when she saw that he had fled his garment in her hand and fled outside, that she called to the men of her house and spoke to them, saying, "See, he has brought in to us a Hebrew to mock us. He came into me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And it happened, when he heard that I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me, and fled and went outside." She's completely making it reversed and lying, saying he was trying to lie with me. I wasn't trying to lie with him. She's giving all the blame of her sin to Joseph. And so then she tells her husband, verses 19 and 20. So it was, when his master heard the words which his wife spoke to him, saying, "Your servant did to me after this manner," that his anger was aroused. Then Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, place where the king's prisoners were confined. So yes, Joseph's master is upset because he probably knows that his wife is lying to him. After all these years that Joseph has built up so much trust, worked from the bottom, he knows that Joseph would not betray him like that, and he also knows that Joseph is not a sinner. He saw that the Lord was with him, and he was with the Lord. The punishment for a servant doing something like that would normally be death at that time, but he sends him to prison, knowing that Joseph doesn't deserve that. Prison is still a very bad place, though. You would not expect Joseph to be successful there. Verses 21 through 23. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy, and he gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners who were in the prison. Whatever they did there, it was his doing. The keeper of the prison did not look into anything that was under Joseph's authority, because the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. Again, Joseph works from the bottom all the way to the top. Joseph keeps going to these places where you would never expect him to succeed. But every time, Joseph does succeed, and that's because he has God. He has faith and trust in God's plan. The Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. That's the main idea for Genesis chapter 39. Thank you for watching.